Don't. Don't open that box. What have you done? You shouldn't have opened it. You shouldn't have opened it. Opened it. Opened it.
Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You're listening to Spit and Polish presents The Mystery Box.
What is it?
Well, what is it? It's a podcast.
No, that was like background noise.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, what is it? It's a podcast. But more importantly, who are we? We're your hosts. Isn't that right?
That's right, host one.
How about you introduce us this time? I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to give Bartek... Oops! Oh, I already
You
ruined
messed up, Ryan.
Fun fact, that's our names.
We introduced each other.
So, I was going to give you responsibility, then...
We introduced each other, that's different.
I was going to give you responsibility, but then last moment I took it away. And then I
but we
let
still...
us both have it, though.
Yeah.
Usually, I always take it on.
Yeah, you introduce yourself.
And then I'm like, and then you're like, Bartek, and I'm like, do you have a last name? No!
Well, this time none of us have last names.
No last names here, guys. This is the No Last Name podcast
Mine's
with your host,
Kasprzak.
Ryan Stawinski and Bartek Kasprzak. No, we are Spit and Polish presents and we are doing the mystery box, or presenting the mystery box.
What is it?
What is it? Well, that's very interesting. We are going to be talking about a movie or video or thing that has been collected from secondhand. So the thing that we are watching or have watched or will watch on this show are completely unknown to us. That is not to say that these things, movies, videos do not have any recognition to others. We're not saying that we're not saying that these are complete mysteries to society. They may be something that you're going, classic movie, I've got it on my shelf. But we don't have it on our shelves. None of us have seen or heard of it, and they're chosen completely at random from the box, the mystery box, the box that has all of the DVDs, all of the film reels, the VHS tapes, and even
discs.
a laser disc. Just one.
The discs of digital distribution.
So we choose a film at random.
Pick
And-
a DVD at random.
Or
We don't know if they're films.
We don't know, and we watch it and we talk about it afterwards.
And this is the afterwards.
And this is the afterwards. Welcome.
You weren't invited to the beforewoods.
So we don't always do this alone, do we, Bartek?
Nope, we've only done it once alone, and
And it was
very...
the best episode ever.
I picked it.
I personally think that we shouldn't have guests anymore. In fact, I've made an executive decision right now: no guests this episode.
And my executive decision, fights your executive decision.
Let's be honest, we should introduce the guest, but I've decided that we won't because I just don't like
Well,
them
you
very
know,
much.
Ryan, usually we introduce ourselves and then introduce the guest. If we're going to be mixing it up, maybe the guest should introduce the show.
That's actually a great idea, but I've decided that I'm going to introduce the guest. It's Oliver.
Hello.
Hello, Oliver. Do you have a
Hi,
last
Ryan.
name too?
No, not really.
Is it Polish?
No.
No,
No, it's really not.
Manhattan!
Yeah, that's right.
that's not Polish.
It's
We're
not.
spitting Polish because we're always spitting and we're both Polish. That's right, the gag from the
I
other
haven't seen
show
you
still comes on this show.
I haven't seen you spit in a while, Ryan.
I did spit on you in one episode, if you do remember.
No, that was a while ago.
So, welcome, Oliver. I'm so glad that you're here.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
I'm very glad because you're the one who had the supreme responsibility to have to choose the movie at random.
I did,
Every
yeah.
guest that comes on this show has the responsibility of having to point their finger at a DVD case.
I didn't actually just point at it. I picked it out of the box.
You just picked it. You just went, yeah, I want this one. And we're like, are you going to point at which one? You just said, the one that's black. It's like, which of the 5? And then we picked
I
the
can
one.
actually tell you why I picked this black one and not any of the white ones or any of the other black ones.
Yeah, I
Because he's
noticed.
racist.
This was, But anyway,
that totally diffused my point.
I know what his point is.
I actually noticed this spine of the DVD in the box was the only one with a major chip in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's actually damaged slightly. And
It was an underdog.
Oh, you mean like it's been chipped off? I thought they put like a microchip in it. It's like
actually,
we don't
it's-
want anyone not to
Yeah, and I
get
traced
away
it.
with this one.
No, it was like hanging on. It was a little chip that was
Yeah.
still hanging on.
It was, the point is it was damaged, and I kind of felt bad for it.
So you picked a damaged movie.
I did.
And what was it?
It's called Murder Party.
Murder Party. Are we
Murder
invited?
Yes.
Murder
Just-
Party.
just
if you have an invitation,
Just keep talking.
He loves me, guys. So we had to watch the film Murder Party. Murder Party is a movie that's something.
Yep,
we
this one is a
rarely
film.
get to
You
watch
can-
movies.
You can call it that.
When we were watching it, I did continuously say, Bartek, we're watching a movie this time.
it wasn't straight to. Or I don't know if it was shown in cinemas or not, but
I hope it was.
I think. I mean, it feels like it. Yeah, this one.
No,
didn't
it doesn't.
feel-
It just is a movie. Like
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
feeling. The others that we have watched have been things that have
Yeah,
been
they've been like
moved along,
first episode of a mini series, straight like TV movie.
or garbage fire.
This felt like it had acts, even.
It did, and it had characters. It had characters. It had direction.
It had character development.
Hey, you know what it did have better than a lot of other movies we have had on the show? Lighting. This one's lit. Like it's got lighting
You
in
mean,
it.
like, actually lit?
Yeah.
Or metaphorically, like,
Both
it's lit?
spiritually, metaphorically,
there was,
physically.
There was clearly like a crew doing the
Psychologically.
lighting. It wasn't just like natural or
Oh,
whatever.
that's something. There's a crew.
I mean, some of the characters in the film were literally doing like crew stuff.
We have not had we've had a bunch of movies or things at recent that just felt like a monkey had a camera strapped to it and it was let loose. Like, my God, it was good to have a movie. Here's the thing, guys. I'm the one who found this movie. Mm-hmm. I found this movie at an old Blockbuster video rental store.
I called that.
Because it still has the stickers
It
and all that
does,
on it.
yeah.
And on the DVD, it has the phone number for the video place in case you need to ring them. And the number is 03. I found this, I saw the cover, and I went, ooh, this seems interesting. Murder Party. And I saw the sticker on it, it had it as horror comedy, which is, I love the combination of horror comedy because I don't really like, I'm not a fan of horror movies, not that they scare me, I just don't find them particularly interesting. I'm not saying that they aren't good ones that I do love, but if I do have to delve into them, I love horror comedies like Tucker and Dale versus Evil and... You know, the Evil Dead movies are horror comedies. Don't say otherwise. So I found this. I saw the Murder Party, and I thought I'd give this a go on the show. I don't think we have too many horror-related ones. I cannot guarantee that.
Yeah,
there's
because they're
some in there that
mysteries.
I have no clue. Like even looking at the cover, but this one, the cover's very simple.
Well,
guys.
but yeah, because it's an X rental, you got the stickers. So.
I got the stickers. So the cover, I think, is very enticing. You know, it's a guy, a young man, you know, he's standing in front of a nice pristine white wall. He's got Murder Party written in that kind of like splatter-esque graffiti writing, but not too much. It comes across as like an actual font.
Yeah.
It's like a mixture. And it has up top, which I didn't read the blurb before we watched this, which actually...
tagline, yeah.
The tagline, which makes a lot more sense after having watched the movie. Modern art, it's going to make a killing.
Yeah, we read it before.
I didn't read that. I didn't even know it.
I remember
that.
Oliver reading it, but it didn't really jump out to me.
Because before we did this, obviously we picked it and I went, guys, look at the cover and get feelings. I'm the one who found this, so I didn't bother to do that. I just went, I know Murder Party, I remember buying this. And it's a young man dressed in what appears to be... When I first saw this, I thought he was in some kind of pig costume because it's got like a snout and some ears, and I thought these were eyes. But in fact, it's a knight's outfit made out of cardboard, and he is holding 2 chainsaws, which we'll get into. And he is drenched with blood, and the bottom of the DVD is DVD cover is just blood, just nothing but blood.
It's like an actual bloodbath.
It's a literal bloodbath.
Well, Ryan, you'll find that in the bottom right, I believe it says DVD.
And in the bottom left, left, it says MA15 plus, restricted, strong violence, and drug use. And fun fact, those are both in there.
Yep.
We've had other movies that have had ratings that's like this, and you're like, where was that?
Mature themes.
What the fuck is a mature theme? Let's talk about what we were expecting when we saw it when it got selected. Bartek, you exclaimed like, "Oh, I don't even remember this one," because you have seen what's in the box.
Yeah, I remember a few things in the box, but then there are always a few things like, oh yeah, I forgot this one existed. This one I know that you've definitely shown me everything that's in the box, but this one I don't really have much of a memory of, so I can't say that I've had too much expectations leading up to Oliver picking it. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. It says horror comedy. I actually didn't notice that until Oliver mentioned it, because you guys looked at it first. But I thought like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be obviously a horror film with violence in it. I think I was a bit more optimistic about this one than the last three we've done, which were Meteor Apocalypse, Jack Hunter, and
Deep
Rescue, because it looked, ironically enough, it looked cleaner than those DVDs. I got a good sense. I know it's ironic because there's blood on the cover,
and it's from a former Blockbuster as well.
Yeah.
Like not only is the cover literally like it's a grimy, drenched in blood thing, but it also is the most secondhand of secondhand because it is The Rental.
But yeah, I was optimistic. I thought, you know what? I feel like this one has had more production work put into it. I feel like we're going to have a good time with this one, or at least a better time than we've had in the recent months.
So that was your feeling, but what did you think the movie was going to be?
I guess I took the word murder literally, like there's going to be murders. With party, I just assumed that they meant there's going to be so much murdering that, it's going to be almost like there's an event happening. Like, I wasn't taking it literally. I was not taking it literally. That's I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Oliver. You were the one who had the grand pleasure of picking it up with your tiny little fingers. Tiny fingers. Hear that, ladies? He's got tiny fingers. I don't know why, but I just wanted to disparage you immediately with tiny fingers. So, Oliver, you were the one that had to select this magnificent or tragic film. Don't want to give it away yet. With your tiny fingers. So tiny. They're like a That's what the ladies say. They're like, stop, where are your fingers?
You're gonna get a karate chop to the face, Ryan.
What, with his tiny baby fingers? It's
not the
weird
size
because
that matters.
it's weird because, well, it kind of does. Have you ever been karate chopped by a baby? I mean, it's pretty piss poor.
Bartek, have you ever had physical assault on the show before? Just out of curiosity.
By you on the core.
I feel like
you were just like 13thly, fuck you, and you like hit a chair
I feel like I
against
have
me.
been hit.
Yeah, we all hit Bartek on this show. There you go. Oliver, you had the grand pleasure of having to select this with your tiny baby fingers with your normal-sized human adult hand. It's just the fingers that are tiny.
Can you guess the end of the sentence?
How about I start again? So Oliver, you had the pleasure of
Yes, I
choosing...
picked out the DVD, right?
What were you expecting?
Okay, so to start off with, first of all, you can clearly see by the labels horror comedy, so that kind of gives a lot of it away, in a sense, and that kind of like sets your expectations. Just looking at the cover itself, honestly, the main guy on the front cover, I couldn't actually tell if he was going to be the protagonist or the antagonist, because it's not really
That's a
clear.
good point.
And I had a few interesting feelings about this. First, I thought he might have been the antagonist, because he's holding two chainsaws.
Yeah, I thought that too.
No, two of them.
Yeah.
Definitely two chainsaws.
No chainsaws.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at his outfit, he's quite clearly got a lot of effort put into it. I mean, from the outside at least, it's hard to tell. I thought it might have been actually steel. It turned out to be cardboard, but
Yeah.
I thought like just because it's so blood coated, you can't really tell.
Yeah.
And from that, like the look on his face is one of kind of like bewilderment in a way. He's kind of almost surprised.
Yeah, like, oh my god, I did it?
And I wasn't sure if, like, that pointed to either he's a regular person thrust into this murder party or he's deranged, and that's the kind of look of a deranged killer. So it could have been, it kind of gone either way for me, honestly. And honestly, the title, Murder Party, one of my instinctual reactions, for some reason, I thought party and I thought murder, a lot of people together, someone's being murdered. For some reason, like, my mind went to, like, Murder on the Orient Express type thing, like, almost like a mystery type thing.
Ah, okay. So what, you thought a detective was going to come in? It's like, okay, who did this murder party?
Yeah, honestly,
Was it everybody?
like, I don't know why I thought that, because it really wasn't Nothing pointed to that.
No.
I'm just a little bit strange,
Just the
but
feeling in the back of your heart,
Yeah,
which
maybe-
ended up being wrong.
maybe I wanted it to be a better movie. I don't know.
Hinting that it was not a good movie.
Actually, not at all.
He's double bluffing you guys. He loved it.
Well, we'll talk about that later, I suppose. But certainly, based on the cover, like, at least the set design was interesting. It wasn't like a homemade cover or anything like that.
No, this is a real cover, guys.
Yeah,
This isn't like homemade. I didn't know too much, obviously. I didn't even read the back of it or anything like that. I just saw it and went, okay. And I think my expectations were, I thought this is going to be like a Hostel type movie, like a real body horror, like porn, like horror porn,
Horror
or whatever.
porn,
Yeah, you know,
Gore
like
porn, yeah.
gore porn. I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be like properly violent, and it would have that kind of black humor of like you know how like in those kind of movies there is comedy in there because it's like so gruesome that it's kind of funny, but kind of not. Like the Saw movies are inherently comedies to me because they're so fucking stupid.
So, your crime is you're a drug addict. Well, you have to get this key from a pile of used needles.
Fuck you. Fuck off. So I thought it was going to be like a take on the Saw movies, like a rip-off, generic kind of like we're trying
Like
to
a
cash
high
in.
stakes murder kind of game.
A murder trap kind of thing. Like you're trapped in this place and there's all of these things that will kill you. And I was wrong. This is what Bartek was kind of getting to, which is he took the title of one of the words literally and then the other one didn't. The problem was you should have taken both of them
Yeah, like
literally.
I thought it was going to be like a
Yeah.
metaphorical kind of party.
This movie is about a party that is all about murdering someone. Anyone who got an invitation, which let's just delve into this, okay? So we put the DVD in.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, my Xbox smashed out the disc tray. I probably put it in wrong and hit it with my finger, but that was a bad sign.
That was an omen.
That was an omen. It was saying, "Do not watch the
are
death
you
murder
sure?
party." Ooh, Bela Lugosi came out of my Xbox just to tell me that. And that was a sign. And then another sign was there was literally no trailers.
But we thought there was.
There was one thing that was like that typical you bought a DVD, here it is. You know that one where it's like black background, white text, but with the big red font for the...
You bought a DVD, don't steal.
Yeah, you know, like the federal government can kick your ass if you steal DVDs.
Karate Chop.
And then immediately cuts from that to the beginning of the movie of like this envelope flying around on the ground and people in like all these Halloween costumes and like I would say the early morning or like late after. I don't know, it was kind of like dusk or dawn. It was kind of
I
like...
think the sun was about to set.
Okay, so...
Because people were trick-or-treating.
fair enough. They were trick-or-treating. And he's we see these feet and the envelope gets crushed in this foot and we see it's like this dweeby guy with glasses and he's like picks up the envelope and he opens it and it's like, "You are welcome. You're invited to a murder party." And
Come
I was
alone.
like, "Oh, okay." And immediately Oliver was like, "Hey Ryan, do you think we can pause this for a sec? I need to do ones or twos." He didn't specify if you need to do pee or poop
Hey,
poops.
to be fair, you kind of just put it on, like...
No,
without
I
saying
just put it
anything.
in, and I thought we'll get a menu, and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about it, because we also always on the show talk about the menu.
But then you paused it, right, Ryan?
Well, I paused it and it wouldn't let me, which is something David Lynch-like. I was like, fuck, it won't let me pause it. And Oliver was standing in the hallway area being like, "Do I go? Do I stay? What do I do? I need to go, but I don't want to miss Murder Party, the one I chose." And then it smash cut from the beginning of the movie to the menu. I guess that was like a little, "Here's what you're going to see. Now here's the menu."
Yep.
And the menu is just one of those ones where it has no special features, no audio options,
It was
no
literally
subtitles.
play, movie, and scene selection.
Scene selection.
Yeah.
Oliver went to the toilet, good job, Oliver. Let's give him a hand,
Oh, thanks,
Hear
man.
that, guys? You can hear our claps.
Felt good. Felt good.
It felt good?
Yeah.
You released everything from you? He's feeling good about it. And then, we finally... Oh, no, Bartek and I were just in there, and the movie did that classic thing that early DVDs do, which is they start the movie because you haven't selected any option.
Yeah, they had like a looping video playing, And after a few loops,
It was literally 3. It was like, third time's the charm! And then they just put it on. I remember when I was young, DVDs, they did that. But sometimes you had the ones that were like, they were playful about it, like the Lena and Woodley Adventures. They had one where if you left the menu on too long, they would start to talk to you. Like, and be like, how come they haven't put the episode on yet? Like, I'm feeling very nervous about this. I don't know why they haven't. Hey, are you there? I was like, hey, if you're up and about, make a cup of tea, you know? It's, you know what I mean? We can wait if you want. And then the episode would start anyway, and they're jerks about it. They're like, fine, we're going to start it without you. Don't need your permission. We made the show. And then the episode would start.
I remember with VHSs, I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but
They did not have menus.
They did not, yes. But when you paused them, I remember after a certain amount of time, they just resume again on their own.
Sometimes. It depends on your player. That or they'll turn off.
I remember with DVDs, when I could pause it for as long as I want, I thought that was revolutionary.
I also remember with DVDs how revolutionary it was that I didn't have to clean them before I had to watch them. So, Murder Party, we watched it, and I personally was surprised. I had a pleasant experience with a movie on this show!
You actually enjoyed it.
I enjoyed a movie that we watched. For one, I watched a movie on the show. And two, I enjoyed it. We haven't watched an actual movie since Mr. Bones, which I think is legitimately the only movie we have watched. The rest have just been videos strapped to animals. Like,
Yeah, straight to DVD or like
It's called
miniseries.
found footage,
it's
right?
called art. And I liked this movie. It's not the greatest. It's a good movie. It's a solid movie. And I feel that this, I swear if I look this up, I reckon that whoever made this, the writers, the director, or the actor, they have gone on to do real movies. Because this feels like...
It's won awards.
What?
This feels like a movie that is like a cult director or horror director or someone's first thing, and then they've gone on to do other things. Like
Yeah,
this
has been in film festivals.
Oh, great. Give it a round of applause, guys. The first award-winning mystery box. Yep.
Yeah.
Other than Ryan Hates It, that's the award for every other movie. I was so...
The director is Jeremy Saulnier.
Oh, classic.
Saulnier.
I'm sure if we look them up, they'll have a career that is impressive, because I think this comes across as a director's first big foray into a feature film, and in a good way. Like, this is one of these ones where I see so much potential from the acting, but especially from the direction. This film works from its amazing direction. There's so many interesting things. Like, there's a whole sequence in which it's just a one-take shot, and the camera keeps moving around to make you feel like you're seeing different, like, shots, and it's like, oh my god, movie making! Like, I'm
Actual
not
camera work,
at
yeah.
no point in this, unlike every other movie we've watched, I didn't shout at the screen going, "Focus!" Light the scene, light their faces, not the back of their heads or stuff like that. Bad ADR. Like, this was a movie.
thinking about
There's a
that as
person
well, yeah.
credited for doing the Steadicam.
Yeah, I saw that in the credits. So, like, they did have Steadicam in it, but like, this was a movie.
They had a decent number of cuts, like when they needed to. It wasn't just
Yeah.
like one long shot to save time, to save
Exactly,
space. Like, there
this-
actual was proper editing. And
There's a movie here. I just have to keep emphasizing that there's a movie.
as if you can't even believe that you watched.
After
the
3
movie.
episodes in a row of what we've watched, I can see why Ryan's happy.
This, though, Murder Party, I just had a grin on my face for the most part. Like,
You
Oliver
really did, yeah.
was doing the commentary for the movie. Like, well, there was a point where I just stopped talking. Like, at first we were kind of, like, joking about it. Like, yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, why is this guy doing things that are called introduction to a character? Like, there was a bit where it was like, he's wearing his suit of armor and he made it out of all these cardboard boxes and said books on it. And it was just like, Oliver
With this
and
whole-
I
with
were
this whole-
ripping into it,
Yeah.
being like, this guy didn't seem like he read books. And then I went, but yet again, I think they showed in his apartment a whole stack of books. And then, like, later on in the
It's like
movie,
in the
they
corner.
showed... No,
It's in the corner of the video.
Wrong. It's in the center of the frame.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No.
You're dead wrong on this, because the
Like
shot...
bottom left.
No, yeah, bottom center frame, because he opens the... No, you're wrong, because it is...
Center left. Yeah.
No, because I swear it's the center, because the shot is the door of the front, and then the kitchen.
Are we talking about the shot at the end when he's come back home?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is also at the start when he puts his keys down. It's in the center, maybe askew to the left, but more in the center than him saying it's just in the corner. You don't see it because he puts his keys down in his books. What I'm emphasizing is this film actually had setups and payoffs, and at the beginning we were all a little bit, immature because Bartek and I have had to sit through Things a lot, and Oliver was looking for I dare to say you're looking for
I was looking for trash.
You're looking for trash.
I was.
Well, you literally said to me last night that you were hoping it's either really good or really bad.
Yeah, that was my hope. Like, honestly, if it was really, really good, like, it's a win, honestly. But if it's terrible, if it's so bad, you can comment on how terrible it is. The worst possible selection would be middle of the road where there's nothing interesting.
Yeah.
There's nothing outstanding about it,
Yeah.
and it's just boring.
I just stopped talking at one point. Oliver was making commentary throughout, like there was bits in the movie that had more of a lull, because not all of the movie is action-packed comedy, genius, blah, blah, blah. Like, it has moments where it wants to breathe a little to make you feel the impact of things later, which I personally appreciated. So that's why I was like, I just sat back and like, I was like a critic. I was just like watching it with like my hand on my face, being like, like rubbing my brow, like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I
And
saw that. I'm
Oliver's
like,
there
what's
like,
he thinking?
and Oliver's
What's he
just like,
thinking?
Ryan, why aren't you talking? I'm like, I'm just absorbed in the movie, and Oliver's just like, boring. Like when they're just
Alright,
talking.
to be fair, I did... Okay, lull in the action. Valid comment.
Yeah.
Valid. Yeah. I think it dragged on just a little too long.
I don't
The
know.
lull was just a bit too... I was getting a bit bored by the end of, like, the second act.
I
like,
thought it was perfect. Like,
it was just a bit... Like, they were going into their backstories. That really felt like... It actually did feel like there was a party at one point. You know, the circle sitting down, talking about
they all get
personal
high
experiences.
and
Yeah.
shit and drunk.
Yeah, like, okay, so that part was actually pretty good. Like, as you said, like, literal murder, literal party, you know? And that was the party aspect, so...
It does have a little bit of a pacing issue, but I think that I think it was being a genuine horror thing, because you can't just have nothing but gratuitous, continuous ramping up violence. It's the tension
yeah.
builds from those moments where it's kind of like, ooh, things are a bit calm now. We're
Yeah,
getting
absolutely.
to know people.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Maybe I made a mistake. Hi, I'm Chris.
No, there's no mistake.
Actually, you're just a little early, that's all.
Oh, sorry.
He finds the invitation that's inviting him. He found it on the ground. He goes to this place thinking it's just a typical Halloween party with like a theme, but then it turns out that the people there actually wanted some sucker to find the invitation.
And
So
murder them, right?
And murder them.
How do they deliver this? Did they just chuck it and then thought the wind will take it?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's up to interpretation how they do
Did
it.
they send out multiple or just one? Because they only had a chair for one. So I think they just sent one invitation
Yeah,
and
what-
was just like, this will
Yeah.
work.
What if the invitation floated to a group of people, all of whom were interested?
What happens if it floated
But it said
to...
come alone at the bottom of the invitation.
It did say that. The movie
That is true.
planned this. What happens if it floated back to one of them? Would they have to go?
Well, let's send it again.
Bartek's right. Its movie is about these
Yeah,
people
that's the premise.
bringing in a poor innocent person to this event of a murder, and we, the audience, don't fully understand from the beginning as to why they're doing this, who these people are, who are our main characters, and why he would go to such an event. I mean, we do on a level, because we do see he lives by himself. He has a cat that doesn't like him. He has children or people who damage his house because he has like a little pumpkin outside and someone smashed it. So you can kind of tell like he lives this shit life, this shit loner life. And
Can we elaborate more about who he is as a person?
His name is Chris. He's played by an actor named
generally.
Chris.
yeah, all the actors I think are just their names.
Yeah.
There are two actors for sure who are named after their the characters are named after their actors.
So Chris is a loner.
Yes. So we learn later in the movie. Can we?
Yes, let's do it.
So we learn later in the movie that he is actually. He says he's a police officer, but he just works kind of like as a parking
He
enforcement.
Yeah.
works in the
officer.
NYPD, but in the civilian department.
Yeah, so he's like the lowest level. He's like level 1 or whatever it is.
He
you
does
know?
say, I'm level 1.
Yeah, which I mean, I guess we're meant to infer that means he's the lowest.
He
level.
he goes into a lot of detail about who he is and basically concludes no one will miss me if I
Yeah,
die.
and that kind of made me feel something weird because, like, in a way, he was right Because that
Yeah.
sort of person, everyone hates parking inspectors. They are
Yeah.
the bane of anyone with a car, really. You drive around, you're hoping you don't get a ticket, and you see one of them, and you're like, I hope they don't come near me.
Exactly, and the movie does a really great job of not letting us know who this guy is for pretty much most of the movie. But that's the point, because this guy is a nothing guy. Like, he is the kind of guy who will disappear into a crowd and no one would even know he was there. Like he is so bland on purpose, and that adds to the comedy aspect of.
And he's
things
the guy
that-
on the cover, by the way.
Yeah.
And it goes to the comedy aspect of things that ramp up later in the movie. I found that very compelling. I thought, ooh, it wrote an interesting line of making a character so paper thin and boring without it actually being paper thin and boring.
And we should point out that this film basically only has 8. It has more characters, but it's only really 8 characters that it focuses on.
One of them, I think, is Polish,
And well, yeah, one of them.
which pleased us both.
I hope
can you,
so, yeah.
Can you look it up, actually, to see if he is?
Bartek, use
How?
your Polish detector. Okay, Bartek.
Your
I've got a
Polish
picture of the character here.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm a policeman, right? and I'm on a case to solve whether or not this man has committed the crime of being Polish. I need my Polish detective to help me.
Who has not committed the crime of being Polish?
No, but you're good at tracking down Polish people. You detect
right.
them. So, Bartek.
Yes.
Sergeant Bartek.
Tak.
Detective Bartek.
Tak.
Detective Constable?
Detective Constable Bartek.
Tak.
Exactly. I don't know what he's saying. I don't speak Polish. But I've got a picture here of a young drug dealer man. I do believe his name is Xerox. Here he is. Now, is this gentleman, Xerox, who used to sell pierogi, is he Polish?
To jest Polak.
Okay, say that in English.
Oh, this is Polish.
Okay, we solved the crime. He's a Polish man. Bartek solved the case.
There's a crime.
You know what? You're getting a medal.
Dziękuję.
I'm taking this all the way up to Police Commissioner Slowinski, and he's gonna pin a medal on your chest.
Policjant Śliwinski?
Exactly. Don't speak Polish, but I know what you're saying, man. We all feel love for you, man.
I don't.
That's we all. Okay.
You know,
okay.
right?
Okay, young lady, who brought this child into the police station? I'm not here for an opinion of a young girl.
is my-
I'm here for Polish detective.
She is my bitch.
Oh, of course, a young dog. I didn't realize.
We didn't mention
there are dogs.
There are
in
two
this
dogs in the movie.
and I did mention cats, but there's a dog that's half dingo in this movie
he's adorable.
that wears a little skeleton
was
costume.
that a Shiba?
I don't
It
know.
looked like a Shiba Inu.
It was half dingo, and it did look
Or
dingo-ish.
maybe the other half was Shiba Inu.
I don't know what
Japanese
you're saying.
Australian.
You know what Shiba Inus are?
No, I don't know dogs.
You know that Doge meme?
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
Doge.
it's a
That's-
Doge dog.
Yeah.
Or a dog.
No, it's
There you
definitely
go.
Doge.
That's what you mix with a Doge and a dog. A dog.
Okay.
There you go. Nailed
That's a
it.
good point, yeah.
Thank you. I'm getting a medal.
The dog actually ended up being far more consequential than I thought it would be.
The dog.
Yeah.
You know what they say. Set up a dog in the first act, pay it off in the third.
That is the actual.
Except for they introduce it in the second act. weirdly.
Anyway, when I brought up the fact that there are 8 characters, you went on a little tangent there. But what I was
I went on facts.
yeah, but I was making a point though,
Oh.
Yes.
and the point is that there are only 8 characters mainly focused on in the film.
Yes.
And we learn little bits about them, and that's kind of more than what we get for the main character, so they feel like they're a bit more defined.
Exactly.
So it really feels like this film's very focused.
We just did a movie called Deep Rescue, a movie that took place in one location primarily, a spaceship. So it had 3 sets. This movie is taking place primarily in just a warehouse.
Yeah.
One area of this warehouse that's covered in boxes and is very, very bland and is fluorescent lit, and somehow, through just sheer interesting direction and writing and acting, you do not get bored of this location.
Yeah.
In
And
fact,
to
it becomes
make
more
it-
and more interesting.
To make it more clear, like one big room of this warehouse that has multiple like sort of locations.
I actually wanted to learn more about the warehouse the more we were in it. Like
We
honestly.
did get to hear a little monologue about the warehouse
Yeah,
from
how
a
it-
character Oliver loved.
Yeah.
Loved a character.
Loved.
He wanted to. He loved him so much that he became him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so they invite this guy over, and can we just say, this guy did something Oliver I love when this happens when you watch a movie and you have someone, no offense, Oliver, but really I do mean it. When you have a smartass who's just like this, yeah, why would he put raisins in that pumpkin bread? What an idiot. And then the movie listens from the future and says, don't worry, we've got it handled, because this guy cooks pumpkin bread with raisins in it.
As a little gift for the party.
A little gift of the party.
Hey.
And you were like, why would he do that? And the movie said, what was that, Oliver?
Here's why.
Here's why. We've got you on this one, buddy.
Regardless of how effective it was in the movie, it's still inappropriate to
No.
put raisins in pumpkin
No,
bread.
but it
That
makes
is-
sense for the character, because he's the kind of character he just doesn't understand. He's such a dweeb. I mean, his cat doesn't even like him.
It's obviously not a good cook, I guess.
No, apparently he was a good cook. Like a certain character really enjoyed this pumpkin bread, but then this is where the movie really begins. I feel like we were sitting there like, oh,
This
yeah,
is where
this-
we started getting an idea of, oh, is this what's going to happen?
So they've captured him. They've tied him to a chair. They're taking photos of him. They're talking about him as if he's an object, not a person, kind of thing. And they're, there's a few little jokes, like they try and sneak up behind him, but a guy's axe gets caught in a chain that turns on a light, and
Which immediately made us think like, oh, this is going to be a movie, well, I thought anyway, where...
a farce.
A farce where they keep trying to kill him, but they keep failing and he doesn't notice.
Tucker and Dale type. thing.
Yeah, Oscar, basically.
But he pretty much immediately notices like, oh, shit.
And they tackle him and chain him to string him to this chair. They use like yarn.
That's right, they do, yeah.
And this one woman out of this group, the cheerleader one, Sky?
Yes, guys.
Yeah.
She's the one who's just like, I don't think we should be doing this, guys. How about we blow this off and go to such and such as
Cicero.
Cicero's party that's 10 blocks away, you
Yeah.
know? How about we go to his party instead? And they're like, no, we've got to wait.
There is an actress in the film called Sky, so there's another one named after.
I bet it's all their names are just the character names.
Well, no, because Bo Sear plays Cicero.
Oh, there you go. But
Maybe all the main 8.
main 8, yeah. No, so this one chick's like, hey, how about we don't, commit murder? And they're all like, you idiot. And she's the one that like was really happy that this guy brought,
Yeah,
pumpkin bread. She's like, how nice. And he's like, yeah, I thought it'd be nice. And she's eating it through the scene. And then what happens, guys?
She asks him what's in it, like specifically pointing things out that she thinks are in it.
Yeah.
And it turns out that one of the things in it she has an allergy to.
Yes. Which is
Pumpkin.
raisins. Specifically non-organic raisins because of the chemical in it. It's not just raisins. So what's the symptoms that she gets from this allergy? Because she doesn't get an anaphylactic shock.
She claims that she gets dizzy.
And that leads
To her
to
sitting
the
down.
real realization of what this movie's going to be, which is she sits down, gets dizzy, faints,
and lands on.
a sharp object.
Was it the axe?
I think.
No, it was a pipe, I thought.
Was it?
I can't remember, but it was
I'm pretty sure it was something that like dug into her.
Yeah.
It lodges in her
Oh,
brain.
yeah, it was like a circular wound in her head, wasn't it? So it was like
And we all we cheered. We're like, oh, because we knew where we were going to
Yeah.
go with this
Yep.
from there. We're like,
Yep.
oh, there's going to be one of these ones where they all accidentally kill themselves or kill each other, and this guy's going to be in the middle.
To quote the back of the DVD case, everyone died. Everybody dies.
You want to quote it correctly? Everybody dies.
harsh.
They're not my buddies.
Dies.
We can introduce this idea of, okay, they're all going to die off in interesting and violent ways. Because the thing I love is she gets this brain injury. She sits back up and just starts talking like, hey, what's going on? And all this blood is oozing out, and then she dies.
Yeah.
Guys
And
dead.
that happens a lot.
It was so like nonchalant. The rest of them, they're just like, guy's dead.
And they're like, oh, well, one down. And then they roll her up in the plastic that they had on the floor and put her in the icebox.
Wasn't it the suit guy that later said one down?
No, they say that earlier on, and then he says, there's only 2 left. They set up that they don't care about one another very quickly. Like, these people, whoever these people are, barely know each other.
like
and
friends
if they
that don't-
do, they
yeah.
are superficial.
They're like friends that don't really like each other.
There's one guy who
Like
likes
us.
the girl. Was one guy who.
Well, yeah, there's one guy
Well, yeah.
who likes a girl, but not that girl. Because Sky, she dies, and we're like, oh no, the good one's dead.
yeah.
The good one's dead. And then that eventually leads out to...
The reason why they don't kill him immediately,
They've got to wait.
they've got to wait for someone to turn up.
They've
See,
got to wait for the
that's-
head honcho.
See, that part didn't really click with the beginning when he walked in. He was about to get ambushed with a fire axe.
And they said that he's early.
Yeah, they weren't ready for him
Yeah.
to be arriving yet.
So, but they didn't even try to tie him up first. He immediately went for the kill when he first walked in.
Yeah, because he was the cocky one with the axe was the cocky one. He's the cocky character who was like, I'm going to be the one to do this, and he's continuously trying to be the one to do this and fails at every turn.
But we learned later on that the whole thing was kind of based around this premise of murder as art, basically. Like a snuff film type thing. Like, they're going to use
Art
the murder
installation.
as like a vehicle to basically center the center of an artwork that would be like competing with.
Yeah, well, or you're supposed to think that's the case.
And the characters too, I believe.
Exactly. So we have one of the murdering people down, but then two more come and a dog. They're waiting for they're waiting for an individual. He comes up. He's the head guy. He's a bit older than these people. He's got a sidekick guy who looks like a very, Europeanish man, and he's got like slicked hair and the track pants and shit like that. And he is the Polish man that Bartek pointed at. And you find out that these two guys, one of them's a drug dealer, the Polish guy, for this other man who's in like this very fancy suit and red shirt, and he comes in and we know his business straight off the bat because he's really cocky and he's really arrogant. And there's a guy there that's dressed as a vampire, and he's also dressed as a vampire, and he's automatically like, take off your little vampire shirt, take off your little vampire pants, and
There
he's
can
like,
be only
and your
one."
fangs, and there can only be one kind of thing, and then he immediately is like,
Paul, come in. I was just messing around with you earlier. It's good to have the blood pumping through your veins. Paul, your photographs are Excelsior.
so they set up this dynamic of these idiots, and then this one dude that's like got his side, like these two characters that just walk in, these are the real guys. These are the no fucking around guys. And they just kind of hang out for a while. They kind of bicker about things. You learn that there's an art grant at all of this, $300,000 for whoever can make the best artwork out of this murder. But, of course, you have to argue with each other about what you're going to order as food.
You want to order food?
Yeah, I can pick it up incognito.
Also, Macon, I want you to get some cake. We can't have a party without cake.
And pizza.
No pizza.
I feel like
Chinese. William?
I'll eat anything.
quail.
How about Thai food? You like Thai
I
food?
had Thai food yesterday. Sushi?
I don't really like sushi.
Yeah, I think we should rule Asian out altogether.
Cheeseburgers.
I'm not even hungry.
You guys want to do like breakfast, like pancakes or something?
Milkshakes.
I could do Mexican. William?
I'll eat anything.
Let's let Zyko decide. Zyko?
We have fish and chips. I smell vinegar.
Oh yeah, Hamad.
Anything but fish.
Just get a fucking pizza!
With sausage.
Plain.
Do you remember what happens when these guys are arguing?
Yeah. He, the victim, or our main character, escapes.
Chris escapes.
Absolutely.
He unties himself, and again, this is good. The movie set up why he unties himself because one of the characters, I think it was the girl or the photographer, the drug dealer earlier comes up to him to get his wallet, and he loosens up one of the strings so he can reach into his trousers because he is tied to a chair. So it's kind of like, Bartek, come on. We've been watching so many crap things on this show, and isn't it great to see a little touch like that?
Yeah.
This movie could have decided not to do that little touch, yet it did it. This is the little movie that could, Bartek, and it did.
Ryan, what I'm learning is you're all about the little touch.
With your little fingers?
Back to that.
You set that up, Oliver. Jesus.
Bartek,
I can see it coming.
Bartek just sat, like, when you said it, I saw Bartek just lower his head, like, here we go. And then you're acting surprised, like, why did he do this?
A little touch that I liked was that on Chris's way to the party, he was on a train.
Yes. 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 This is when we knew it was a comedy, because there was just a shot that Oliver, this was when he was in his snark phase, was just like, why is he got a face like that? And then you see the camera slowly like zoom out, and there's just like this random black rapper guy rapping in his face, and he's just like, oh boy.
Basically shitting on him.
Shitting on him, giving him the best rap, and he's like something around like,
Terrible, make examples out of you. I can stutter all the way through and I'm still sick with the flu. Nice with it. Want me on your shit, then there's a price with it. 10 I flatten them 50, they going platinum my rap tune. Nice with the vocabulary. These ain't regular lyrics, nigga. This is your obituary.
Can you tell us, Bartek, about the whole escape sequence? Because I think for me personally, that had the biggest laugh in the entire movie.
I can't remember what specifically would have made you laugh, but the whole thing was a little funny scene because it showed how, I guess, incompetent most of the characters were.
Yes.
The main character was basically just trying to escape from the building, but he was pretty much just running around that big room.
You notice a fun little touch that he did for why they couldn't
Yeah,
find him.
of course, yes, this is the funny thing. I can't believe
This
I
isn't
forgot.
actually the funny thing, but this is a nice thing.
It's a
The
very
funny
nice thing.
very funny and great touch to it.
Yeah, this is before they actually see him, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're looking around like, where is he? Where is he? Eventually they do see him, and then the camera cuts to where he was. Now remember what he's wearing. He's wearing his, like, night suit.
Out of cardboard.
Out of
Quite
cardboard.
clearly cardboard, yeah.
Including a helmet which covers most of his head.
Yep.
He is trying to camouflage himself with a few cardboard boxes.
He's just sitting next to him. Like, he's like trying. He successfully camouflaged because it took them a solid couple of moments to see it.
Yeah.
It was a drug dealer who saw it. Because
Yeah.
he's the one who's the smart
That's
one.
what I meant by most of them are incompetent.
And then he runs away. Where does he run to?
He runs. There's a whole stack of cardboard boxes in one corner of the room, so that's the place where he tends to run to.
Yeah, and then he secludes himself in a little storage closet.
Yeah, eventually, throughout the scene, you know, he dodges a bunch of them and he eventually hides in a storage closet.
They also set up in this.
Oh,
that
of course,
a guy
this is
has
the-
a chainsaw.
this was the biggest laugh.
Yeah.
Whose cord unplugs because he's strapped up to the cord. And the biggest laugh is you see our character
He's
doing that
looking
thing in
around
the
the
horror
room.
movies and stuff, like noting down, the camera's noting for the audience what's in here that can be used to save himself.
Close up of everything
There
in
was
the
a lot
room.
of
Fire
moves, like, there's
extinguishers,
gas cans and
nets, and
Yeah.
all of this
Pipes
stuff.
and stuff. It's like he's got a plan. He's gonna MacGyver this.
You see, it cuts to his face, and he gives like this look of reassurance, like, "Okay, I got this." And you see him like, you hear you hear those sound effects like Edgar Wright uses of wind rushing of when he's grabbing stuff like that.
And then it cuts to outside behind all the characters looking at the door. They're ready to, like, you know, chainsaw it open.
Yeah, that music, that da 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 da, kind of like, here he comes. He's got
Door
the big
slams
surprise.
open. He walks out with everything in his hand. Everything that we
so
saw.
much trash.
And he just chucks it all on the ground.
And runs away, and they're all standing there confused. He escapes, but then hard cut, comedy cut, strapped, chained to the chair.
Yep.
That was the biggest laugh in the movie, because I thought, oh, fuck, that worked. And then they did the comedy cut, which usually my senses of knowing comedies and film structure, I'm like, they're going to do the comedy cut. I still didn't see it coming. I thought, oh, this movie's going to take a real dramatic turn when he just escaped. But then he just comedy cuts, and it's like, this is the perfect comedy cut. This is comedy cut 101. Like, yeah, I didn't expect it. That was so fucking good.
I call this extreme truth or dare. All the kids are doing it in Belarus.
What is it?
Sodium amytal.
It's truth serum.
So we really get to know the chainsaw guy. So
So yeah, he's got a beard.
what's his name again?
I don't remember.
Honestly, they don't
Oh, he's
actually-
Macon.
Macon, yeah. So Macon himself, I find is one of the more interesting characters because he's the one character with a real love interest in the movie. So there are two female characters. There's Sky, who we talked about, who dies early. We've already mentioned that. But
Yeah.
Macon himself is. We find out during that round table scene, actually. It's not on a table, they're just kind of like cross-legged on the ground. We find out he actually has a real romantic love interest for the other female character.
Who's dressed like the chick from Blade Runner.
Yeah. And he talks in all these, like, weird non sequiturs about, like, there was some metaphor to do with, like, being on a plane.
Yeah, it's like when you're
Yeah.
about
Oh,
to
yeah,
crash
yeah.
in a plane, you think about
The person you love, that's the person who you really love.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Sort of thing. Yeah, I found him to be the most interesting, not just because of the
He-
chainsaw singular that he had.
He is probably the most fleshed out of the killers, or the soon-to-be, other than the big main boss guy.
Yeah.
You have a baseball player. He's pretty prominent.
He's on the back too.
He's on the
Yeah,
back. He's got a
actually.
cool design. Like his face is yellow, but his eyes and mouth are black circles.
He might be the most sociopathic of the group.
What was he meant to be exactly?
He's a baseball player.
Yeah, but like, Is that it?
Yeah.
Is there no like? What was there with the face makeup then?
It was just for cool.
Don't people wear like,
Yeah, they wear
face
those,
paint at games,
at
like for their
games.
team colors?
Yeah, for the team. So he's probably like doing that. He was great because all he did was just play a PSP, and then they would ask him things, and he would give very frank answers.
He'd play PSP, he'd paint, he'd just sit around.
Do nothing, don't talk much, which means to the audience, this is the most fucked up one out of him because the one who's quiet is the one who does the mean
And
shit.
earlier,
Hence, the drug dealer guy too was very similar to him because he was very quiet. I love the drug dealer.
earlier on in the film, when they were like second guessing whether they should go through with it, and they asked him, he's like, "I didn't sign up for a what was it, second degree
murder party." Yeah.
I actually found him a lot more interesting than I thought I would. Actually, not just because of the quiet guy who has the most wrath, kind of like typical archetype, but also he was a creative type that had quite clear, like he seemed distant, but that distance was kind of it was fleshed out a bit, I find, because he was painting at one point.
And
he was really putting his heart and soul into this, and the other characters were totally ripping into him behind his back. He overhears them. He hears them saying, "This is the painting equivalent of a dial tone," which I found was an amazing line.
That was an amazing line.
He was quite clearly hurt by this. I found that really interesting. He was distant not just because of the typical, like, that was his character type thing, but like he was an artistic type that had been creatively burnt before. I found there was a little bit of depth towards that.
Yeah, the back of the box, the blurb calls them deranged hipster artists.
Yeah,
I really like during the truth serum sequence, the girl, you find out a lot about her from her own point of view, but from all the other characters, because she's the one woman, so she's objectified quite a lot. And you have the chainsaw guy. He loves her, but it's an unrequited love. Like she doesn't feel for him, and he's not just loving her, he's creepy.
She barely recognizes him.
He's obsessive. It's not a how sweet, it's more of a okay.
He's literally got a like popsicle stick in his pocket
that she had like 5 years ago or some bullshit. And
no one reacts to that, by the way.
No, the photographer guy reacts to it by just patting him on the shoulder and just tutting, going, "Okay,"
and then someone immediately moves on.
No, and he moves on, like the photographer guy.
Reaction, like,
but because you can tell that this guy and the rest of them know that this is the case all the time, because the baseball player during this sequence, we learn from him being like, "Hey," because he's insecure. He goes, what do you guys say about me when I'm not around? And it's like, we mainly just talk about how he feels for her.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yep. And then we don't like you too much. And this is what I liked about the chick. She admits that she feels threatened by the baseball player because he's genuinely talented. Like, he's a genuine talent artist. And she's grown, and I've felt this in life on a level when being an artist and creative type, that you grow to dislike genuinely good art because it makes you feel less, like you cannot achieve that, so you want to see bad things and root against those, so it gives you a sense of superiority. Hence, I think we all kind of walked in being like, I hope this is kind of shit on a level so that I can be like, that's not how you make a movie. Me having never made a movie.
Gosh, it's like hearing myself sometimes.
Yeah, it was that was you talking.
That's crazy, man.
But I like that little sequence, and I felt like that was really well done. I thought her monologue was actually very poignant. It was, and then
she asks the European guy, "What's it like being a drug dealer?"
Yeah,
and he's my favorite character, because I think his name was Xerox. Let's say Xerox.
Yeah, it sounded like that.
He was the straight man. Like, he seemed like a legit character from a different movie having to be forced to be in this movie. Like you could see him as like just some low-level thug in Breaking Bad, and here he is in this horror comedy movie, and he's just like, I just want to sell drugs and move on.
Yeah, his whole thing was that it's better than selling pierogi at his parents' shop.
Exactly.
Which that's our indication that, maybe he's Polish, because pierogi is like the Polish food.
We learn a lot, but you know who we don't learn about in that sequence? The antagonist, the boss. Yep. He's the only one who doesn't get truth serumed until later. And when they ask him about stuff, he just gives them bluff answers, like, ha ha ha, I don't give a shit. Like, we learn that the chick is a slut. Like, we've seen her in the movie have sex with this arrogant asshole vampire dude. We hear about how she constantly has sex with everyone else other than this poor chainsaw guy.
Yep, the one guy that likes her.
The one guy who likes her, and then,
It would have been funny if they mentioned that she's even had sex with Chris.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
And then,
just like this slash cut.
Chris mentions that he's not a virgin, so it could be.
Chris then gets to join in on this because he wants to join in and make a pun.
Because they just start getting
puns.
puns.
puns. And he makes a pun about being a knight. They let him in, they inject him, and he just talks about an amazing story that honestly speaks for itself.
I dumped myself.
Ew!
It was my cousin's wedding. I was running late and I got stuck in the elevator and I was there for and I took a dump right in my pants. And then the elevator went down to the lobby and there's all filled with people from Model Airplane Convention and I had to walk up 6 flights of stairs and it touched my socks.
You are a lame brain man.
I was a groomsman.
But then, of course, things have to ramp up to something else, you know. We can't just have this lull all the time because they decided not to kill him instantly because they wanted to wait till the witching hour because they're hipsters.
Yeah.
But then things kind of get out of control.
Just to be clear, the witching hour, isn't that 3 to 4 a.m.? Isn't that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a witch and I can tell you that's the truth.
Oh.
That was my witch
that.
laugh. That was
Coulda
my
guessed
witch
that,
laugh.
honestly.
We do fast forward a little because there's a lot of just character interaction, but then a certain photographer character decided that he needed...
Who was told by another character to be stripped earlier.
that he needed an assistant to come in because he wants to do photos. Because the whole idea is basically who can ever make the most impressive murder art concept will get the art grant that the characters from the very beginning don't believe exists.
They're very skeptical
They're
about
skeptical, yeah.
You know, they've been giving the art to this guy, and he still hasn't given them the art grant. And so this photographer guy needs an assistant. So he just you see this random woman just walk in with like all of this photography equipment, and it's like they were like, "What the fuck, man?"
And he mentioned something like he doesn't work without an assistant.
I remember you were really curious about this. You're like, ooh, a new character.
Oh, like, can you please talk about the boss man? Because you had the most visceral reaction to this art wanker guy who's just like constantly. There's a point in the movie where he's like, "Now, let me do a full rendition of the Raven." And he started to do a full monologue of the Raven. And then the artist assistant comes in and ruins it all. But you talk about this guy and your feelings.
Of all, like, the point of his character was to be annoying. That was kind of obvious. Like, it was, I mean, that's pretty clear. I kind of got a little bit annoyed in addition to that because I felt like he stifled our ability to learn more about other characters. Like when other characters were talking about
he got
things,
focus.
Yeah, like he kind of like stole the show, which also stole the audience's ability to learn more about the other characters. You know, other characters would suggest things and he's like, "No, we're doing it my way." Like he was very domineering in every possible sense, regardless of like the relevance to anything. When they were talking about food, he refused to have pizza, and he just didn't say anything. It's just like, "Fuck you." Well, I mean, they ended up having pizza anyway.
He was the one who suggested it in the end,
which
makes
annoyed
it funny.
me even. Yeah, I mean, like. So yeah, in a sense, like that, he's like the point of his character was completely successful. But yeah, I would have rather learnt more about the other characters because I felt like it was fairly fleshed out in like 1 or 2 scenes. We didn't really need that much of him. I felt like I could have learnt a bit more about the other characters.
Bartek, what about you? What did you think of this guy? Because Oliver was having a very visceral reaction when we were watching it. You were just like, this motherfucker!
He was repulsive. I mean, that he was successful in that way. I get that that's his character.
I mean, I guess you're right. I just didn't mind him as much, so it didn't bother me. Like, I did get a sense of what every character is like.
Yep.
And I guess if they didn't focus on it more, we could have gotten more. But I do feel like I know all the characters. The fact that he got more focus, it was just like, oh, well, he is the one in charge, so that's all right.
I do see what you're saying, Oliver, but I disagree with it.
No, you're welcome to disagree.
I thought it was very well constructed because we didn't realize that this was going to be a setup to something that is a payoff. His whole character, we learn, is a complete lie and fabrication, which did honestly come as a bit of a surprise to me.
Did it really?
I knew that this guy was an asshole, but I genuinely thought that he was some rich guy who did have money and was toying with these guys as some kind of like, "Oh, I'm so bored with all my money, I'm going to toy with people and all of this stuff." And I thought it was such a great character trait that they played it up, and I didn't realize it was going to be a setup and a payoff. Because we do get revealed that he is a hack. I thought he was the best, because once we got that reveal, I thought back of when he was like, "Now time to listen to me do the whole rendition of the Raven." I'm like, this guy's just some random fucker who's come across these art wankers, and he's just winding them up.
I love love how
Loved it.
The reveal that everything he said was a lie was basically when they injected him with the truth serum, and then he like step by step mentioned everything that was a lie. And one of the lies was, "I don't have $300,000. I actually have more than that."
Yeah.
No, that's actually not the
that
same
was
thing.
before.
That
way
was actually
before.
earlier when they were like, "Hey, I don't even believe you have 300,000." He's like, "Yeah, right, I don't. I have 500,000." Then later,
Oh, okay.
they
He's a-
inject him.
yeah.
He's like, he lives at home with his mum.
He's a fry cook.
He's a
as
fry
well.
cook from Jersey, and he's just
Okay, I
gonna steal.
understand.
Yeah, the photographer clued into that actually.
What the fuck are you doing?
Alexander, you're full of shit.
I'm a fry cook.
See? What did I tell you?
I let you fuck me.
A bunch of stuff happens, but they learn that the guy is a fake. Chainsaw guy gets rejected by the girl more, so he just drinks absurdly and he's like spewing vodka and stuff onto himself. And
Covers himself.
But really things kind of pick up when the chainsaw guy feels like he needs to go outside to take a smoke.
Yeah.
And is near the dog that's outside and
Still
boy.
covered in
Good boy.
alcohol, right?
Good boy.
wearing a rubber mask,
Yeah.
smoking. And he burns so hard. He's just like on fire, and they have a whole sequence in which they're inside talking, and you just a sound design. You can just hear forever.
That's amazing.
Although one thing, because we didn't really get to see him on fire, we
Just
I
heard the fire.
I think Oliver and I don't know about you, Ryan. We thought that maybe his entire body was on
Yeah,
fire.
No.
see, that would have made sense.
No.
Because the alcohol it implied the alcohol was an accelerant. And he had alcohol not just over his head, but all over his body as well. His entire top half was saturated with it.
For me, I saw it was just more from the shoulders up that he had
I thought,
alcohol on him, and
I would
that's
have thought
what
it
caught
spread
fire.
though.
You saw
No.
there was some on his arms. There was definitely
Some on his arms, but yeah,
And, like all his clothes were absolutely fine.
I think they might have left
Just
him
his
out
head.
there too long for it, but I think it works as a gag, like in the
As a
background.
gag, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Because they need him to live so that they can have some cool stuff to do with him later on. Yeah, they're in there talking. They're getting angry at the douche guy for being a douche guy, and he sent the drug dealer away to get some crank. And the drug dealer has a great moment. He's like, "Can they get the fish and chips?" He's like, "No, later." And when he comes back to see all of this mayhem, he's got fish and chips. He got them anyway.
That was like it was like a
I didn't think
less
of that,
than a
that's
second
great.
shot of just the chips falling to the ground.
It was such a great gag. That was a great gag. They bring the burning. The chick finds out the guy's on fire outside. There's the assistant out helping the guy do the photography, and then she helps with the fire. And Chris is watching very carefully, like, okay, they got these fire extinguishers. They're doing this. Like, you see he's planning, but what's he planning? And then, they bring the dog in and they strap it to his chair.
Yeah. Why did they do that?
So
Because it was the only place it would be, because it's the kind of dog that just runs around, and also they don't want the dog to go over to the icebox, because that's where it was sniffing around. That's why it was outside. So she claimed she had allergies. She didn't actually have allergies.
Well, yeah, because she said, "Oh, I have allergies," but she was the one that took it outside.
Yeah, so
yeah, that was strange.
But yeah, exactly, because she knew the dog was going to detect the dead body in the icebox, which they thought was going to be a big deal, but it wasn't, because this guy doesn't give a fuck.
I kind of liked that.
In fact,
freak out,
him
actually.
discovering it was him basically saying, like, "Oh, one of the people I was going to kill anyway is dead."
Yeah, that was a good moment actually.
Exactly.
I thought it
'cause
was going to react one way, but
I didn't think that was going to be the twist. So the twist is this guy was actually hosting this murder party and was just going to murder all of them
and then sell
claim
their art.
Claim their art. Sell their art after
Yeah.
they had died, because it earns more.
yeah.
And the drug dealer guy was his assassin guy, and a drug dealer, but also a shooter guy, because the gun's real. And I love all this mayhem. Think about this. So there's a guy that's literally just been on fire, smoldering. There's a random new photography assistant chick. There's a dog running around. You're a drug dealer guy who's just a humble guy from Poland. And you just walk in after everything was calm, and you just see this, and it's just like, okay. And the guy who hired him just automatically goes, "Shoot that guy in the face."
No, shoot everyone.
No. It starts with, shoot
that
him
guy,
in the
yeah.
face. He shoots this photography guy in the face.
He keeps talking.
And he gets shot through the brain, and he still is alive and talking. And he just keeps going like, "Keep shooting him," and he keeps shooting him. And because he's a big guy, he just does not go down. And then when he goes down, he's just like talking still, like brains oozing on the floor. It's like, Jesus, I don't know why this is happening. And then the drug dealer's like, "Kill all of them, shoot all of them, just go."
I think we skipped over something though, because when he mentioned he was going to sell all their art, one of them, I think the woman, mentioned like, "So you do like our art?"
Yeah, yeah.
And he was just like, and he did the you know.
Yeah.
But I did love that gag of the guy just shoot him in the face, and then the guy no reaction, just drops some fish and chips, just does it, bam, 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 and there's like everyone's getting taken out. The dog is loose and showed the corpse of the Sky to the drug dealer.
The dog's taking a bit of a.
Oh fuck! The dog eats the crank that the
Oh,
drug dealer
yeah.
gets, and then he starts to attack off screen the douche guy,
Yeah.
who we can tell died because he got bit on the neck and his face.
Yeah, his
Yeah,
face
we
was
could see
covered
his
in blood.
teeth.
Yeah.
Everyone just starts getting fucking wrecked, but the best part is the baseball guy just sitting there playing his PSP as everything's going on. He knows that he's been targeted to get shot in the face, but he just doesn't care. He's like, whatever, playing my PSP. Have you guys ever? What's the most distracted you've been from a real serious event like that? Like, have you ever had anything that ludicrous happen to you where it's like, oh, I almost got hit by a car because I wasn't looking, like that kind of thing? Because I have.
The thing
many
is,
times.
I could probably tell you sometimes when that's happened, but I was too distracted to notice that it was happening. So it's a bit of a catch-22 there.
Yeah.
I remember this. I don't think this would be like the biggest example, but one that springs to mind is it relates to some of our friends. When we were in year 12, this is myself, our friends Malloy and Jono.
Yeah.
We were on a bus on the way to school.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I was like nodding off, or maybe I was just looking out the window. But eventually we got to the school, we got off the bus, and Jono was angry because one of them was angry because the other had vomited on their bag or something.
Oh, gross. What?
And Barter's like, da, da,
I didn't notice that happening.
I have a pretty serious one. This is like some Shaun of the Dead level shit, right? You know, in
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead when he's like doing the whole sequence. Oh, you haven't watched it. Sorry, Barter.
You haven't seen Shaun of the
There's a whole sequence in Shaun of the Dead
Oh.
where he's doing the whole walking through the zombie apocalypse thing, like it's his everyday normal life, but he's not noticing the zombie apocalypse
It's like
behind him.
Act 1.
That's Act 1, right? I had that where I woke up, it was summer, hometown. Everyone on my street was either not home, they were elsewhere at work or on holidays. Across the street, there's just one house and a paddock. And I was at home by myself, and I was apparently the only one in the whole street there, I guess. And I was like, I'm like, oh, I'll go check the mail kind of thing. And I just walked outside, and I was like, oh, whew, bit hot today. And then get the mail. I'm like looking. Okay. And then like, oh, a bit hot. Whew. Go back inside, watch some videos or watch a movie or something. And I'm like, oh boy, it's hot. And I'm just like, oh, better open up some windows. I'm like, oh, it smells quite a bit. And then I just back to whatever, have a shower, because I'm like, oh, I'm getting a bit hot. I might have a shower, watch this off, go out back. And then my mum pulls up in her car, and she just like walks inside nonchalantly, and she's like, oh, it's hot today. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I don't know what's going on. And then mum's like, oh, Ryan, do you think you can close the front door? I feel like we're getting a bit of a heat draft. Look across the road, house on fire.
Wow.
And not only house, half paddock. Best part is, my mum didn't notice as she drove down the hill
Okay.
and didn't notice the fire. She was also just like, long day at work today. Just can't wait to get home and just unpack. And I'm just
That's
like,
some shit.
and then
Not even
a
notice the
helicopter had
smoke.
to,
Like-
no, because I was the only one home. And I was like, I just thought, oh, hot today.
Not just the heat, but that'd be smoke too.
Yeah, but do you know that smoke kills a lot of people because they don't realize it's there until it's too late?
Actually, smoke kills more people during fires. Than
Exactly.
The
So
fire
I
does,
didn't
yeah.
realize.
So everyone quit smoking.
The whole house, and then they had to get a helicopter to pour water on it because it was so extreme. So that was my moment in life.
That's a pretty good one. It's better than mine.
You just had vomit in yours. I had literal inferno.
That's pretty impressive.
So let's get back to the movie, all right?
Oh yeah,
Everybody's
the movie that we were talking.
Everybody's dying. The girl decides to let Chris free, but the baseball player's like, that's it, I've fucking had enough. This is all unprofessional. And he just starts fucking axing everybody. Like, he axes her in the back of the head. He's killing everything. Heck, I think he takes a swing at the dog and has a miss. The only person that's okay, we find out, is the guy who got horribly burnt. He rips off half of his face, and the mask is melted to his face, which was fucking gory.
That looked pretty cool, actually.
There was a
The
mixture,
effect was great,
The
yeah.
mixture of physical and CGI effects in there, I feel, because there was a little bit of that. And
Was there really?
I think his eye, like,
Really?
it was too good. I mean, I don't know. It was so good. Because this is a fairly low budget movie, I say.
Yeah.
But it's a movie.
You keep...
Well, all its awards were from film festivals, yeah. There's a part where the baseball guy is like, you don't see who he's beating, but he's clearly beating someone who's lying on the ground.
Yeah, who was
Over and over.
Who was he beating in that
He was
scene?
beating our favorite character, the cake.
The chainsaw guy gets up and kills the drug dealer by chopping off his leg with a chainsaw.
Yeah, he did that while he was distracted by the girl and I think
The baseball guy getting
Yeah.
like them having to go, and he's like, ah, and just chainsaws him, and you asshole. And that's my favorite character dead. And then we're left with Chris escaping, baseball guy, and chainsaw guy. Everybody else is dead or gone. And it just becomes a cat and mouse game from there, doesn't it? It's
basically a
three characters,
three-part chase sequence with the
Chris running, for
Chris
his
running
life.
at the front, baseball guy chasing him from the middle, and really far behind, very slow. Chainsaw guy. Macon, was it?
Yeah, Macon.
Macon.
He's making bacon.
His
face is burnt so bad.
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
You could eat it like bacon.
Oh, God.
It was a bit gooey, though.
It really was, wasn't it?
Because blood.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And burnt blood doesn't just, like...
I thought it would congeal a bit more. Like, it wouldn't be that gooey.
Do you remember the comedy set piece in The Chase?
Which one?
The main comedy set piece in The Chase, which was a certain thing called a little conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
That was
the
pretty
beginning
good.
of it, yeah.
But that's the main bit. Like, that's the funniest comedy bit in the
was
whole
beautiful,
sequence,
actually.
I personally felt, which was...
It was quite
Out
funny.
of every horror movie, you'd say, why don't they just do this? Why don't they just do that? And this is the first real horror movie where there's the chase sequence with a conveyor belt like that. There's some sort of mechanism, and he literally just does it. He just...
What does he do?
He
So Chris goes up
yeah.
this conveyor belt, and the baseball guy's a bit far behind him, but
so
he's in visual range.
He's about like a third to half the way up the conveyor belt. Chris, rather
He's
than-
already off it.
Yeah, he's already
at
off
the
it.
top.
He just goes to the control panel, turns it in reverse. The guy
And the
slides
baseball
right,
guy
he just
goes
goes all
down
the way
and
back down. That's just beautiful. Beautiful.
I clapped.
You did.
I was like, it broke new ground! It broke new ground!
It's so simple.
It was amazing that was almost as funny as the throwing things bit
Yeah.
earlier. Like, it was just so simple. Like, again, it's a little touch. Like, other movies should do this, and they don't have to play it for comedy, but it's like a little thing, like, tick. I remember commenting, like, hey, it works! Like, that works! Like, yes! Yes,
And it gives
yes.
and it gives Chris time to pee.
Which is an
that was-
amazing moment.
That was, I mean, it makes
He
sense.
runs up to the rooftop, he's like, I have enough time to take a piss.
He's been tied up that whole time,
And what happens when he's taking a piss?
Well, the baseball guy catches up to him.
And
He gets wide-eyed. He sees him.
and you hear his piss get faster.
And yeah.
He's like, oh shit. And baseball guy's just like, really? And he's just amused, and that gives him enough time to run away. But then we have Chainsaw Guy. He's finally catching up. He's going up the thing. His cord gets cut. He gets trapped on the conveyor belt. So he spends a little bit of time trying to get it off that. It was just that conveyor belt. Whoever came up with this conveyor belt idea, congratulations, because we're talking about it on this podcast, which means it was
Simple,
really good.
but it worked.
I have a suspicion that might not have been in the original script, and when they found the location they wrote it in, I get that feeling.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen that sort of conveyor belt.
I thought you were going to say something completely different. I thought you were like, they didn't write in the script, and then one day they were just filming, and this conveyor belt walked on set. It's like, you got to include me in this, guy.
Conveyor belts do walk on set. That's the thing that happens.
They kind of stroll on set.
Oh, shit.
I can see, scriptwriter writing the script, but not having the set memorized or anything like that.
because you can write a script, but until you have the location finalized, you got to kind of adapt it.
Adapt it.
Yeah, so that's what I think happened.
And then
Possibly,
he
yeah.
runs across all these rooftops. All of these rooftops, jumping, and he eventually gets to the other party that they set up.
in the first act,
Cicero's.
And then we get to meet him.
We do.
And he's got
I
like
wasn't
this
expecting that,
art
actually,
gallery
yeah.
thing going on, this live interactive thing, which was great because you just open up the door. It's just like this white room with a bunch of naked people who are painted, and just a little plaque that says art. I just love that was a great gag. Just art, and pretty much about the climax of the movie because you have our three main people alive chasing after each other. They all kind of converge onto this little art room because Chris thinks it's a great idea just to hide behind one of the people.
It wasn't even a thick podium. It was literally in front
a little
of the
podium
door.
with a pumpkin on it.
In no way properly hit him at all.
Baseball guy just comes in and just smacks the. It's like, oh no! Do you remember the chainsaw guy? He was really happy because he saw fairy lights at this party. He was like, "Yay! I have something to plug."
Oh, there was
my
like
chainsaw."
heavenly music playing.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's like, "I gotta have something to plug my."
It's like, has he
chainsaw
realized
into."
something? It's like, no, it means there's power.
You know, he realizes there's power. He plugs it in, and he fucking falls off the roof, and he dies.
How did he even fall off the roof? I forget.
Because he stumbles.
Yeah.
He falls off, but thankfully, you know, baseball guy's about to kill our poor Chris, but that chainsaw is right, like the cord, he grabs the cord and just fucking...
Yeah, he falls right by the window and the chainsaw.
fucking rips into baseball guy's fucking face with his chainsaw.
He cheered really loudly at that.
I was so happy. Because this was the most gruesome bit, and it was just so like, yes!
Hey, Ryan.
Yes!
Does he cheer into his face with one or two chainsaws?
Just one.
Just one chainsaw. Okay.
Bartek looked a bit conservative about the whole thing. Like Oliver and I were like, yeah, and you were just a bit like, you were just be like, oh my.
Yeah.
Poor,
You were really like...
his poor face, not the face.
I was more shocked by your reaction, Ryan, because it was so big.
He doesn't actually split his
I
head
had
in
bloodlust.
half. So that's the thing,
Evidently.
it just kind of like digs in a little bit. Like
gets
doesn't-
stuck
I thought
on
it
his
would
jaw.
I thought it would split his head in half.
Nah, and then he just leaves the chainsaw on his... No, he takes the chainsaw and just puts a pumpkin on him and just says the greatest line ever, which is...
Just wanted to party!
Does the film end here?
No, Ryan.
Oh, where does it end?
Well, Ryan, Halloween's over. He's got to go home. That's what you do after parties.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So he just walks home, right?
Well, he goes to the train station first.
Well, no, first he's walking from the Docklands and he realizes he needs to take his meds.
Because his watch...
Those meds that we never found out what they were for.
Yeah, that kind of bugged me a little bit.
And then he threw them away and poignant music played. He just walks home covered in blood, but since it's Halloween time, nobody gives a shit. Like, it's the next morning, but people are like, hey, he went partying. Then the movie just ends with him putting his keys on the table.
No.
No, they drop off the table.
Well, it doesn't end.
I know.
It's not loud enough
It's
for me.
ending on him just putting them on the table and then just walking over and being like, get out of the chair, Sir Lancelot the cat. And the cat's just death staring him, but then realizes this guy's had a tough night. And he just sits down and turns the TV on and the movie ends. And I legit thought, oh, okay, there's going to be one of them still alive.
You were saying that the whole way down.
Because they had his wallet, so they had his address. And they lingered so long in this pleasant, calm-natured ending, and I went, it's going to be a horror movie ending where it's like one of them's there, or the police are there. No, it just ends.
The clock strikes midnight, and something evil is going down tonight. I can feel it in my bones, and we're a long way from home.
Let's get into the point in which we are going to say if we would recommend this or not, because I'm very keen on hearing Oliver, because he's been a bit cryptic with this. He's been kind of like leading me in thinking that he liked it, then other moments leading me to think he didn't like it. But I'll go first, because I want to cock tease.
Look at you. I'm interested in your opinion. Bit me first.
But I got to cock tease
That's
the
just-
audience like
that's
you've been
just-
cock teasing us all day.
Oh, you wish.
So, yeah, watch this. Watch this. Not just because... I'm not saying this just because I've watched a bunch of terrible movies on this show, but this is a genuinely good movie, and this is one of these ones where, yeah, it looks like someone's, like, first endeavor out into a feature-length film, but in a good way. This is something where you go, this is the first steps of something greater, and I'm glad that I got to see it. This is comedic. It does have a little bit of a pacing issue. I feel like a little bit could have been trimmed here or there, but for a movie? This is great. So I would definitely recommend Murder Party, which, by the way, the name is just perfect for it. Like it's just so straightforward and to the point.
Yeah.
Bartek?
I like this film a lot. Really entertaining. Watch it with friends. Not saying that it would be bad not to watch it with friends, but you have a good time. You have a little, as the title says, murder together. I mean, party. Check it out.
Oliver?
Now listen to Oliver.
You mentioned my opinion being cryptic. I didn't think it was that cryptic, but I'm going to go over it. So, as I said, I did kind of have little issues here and there. But ultimately, I kind of think of issues in different ways. There are some problems with movies that you kind of look at and you're like, this takes me out of it and I can't really enjoy it as much. Murder Party, if it does have faults that you notice, it doesn't take you out of the movie. And that's what I kind of like. Any of the minor annoyances, minor issues it might have here and there, as all movies do, it's not a deal breaker in any sense of the word. And the good things about the movie far, far, far outweigh the bad. It takes a little bit to get going, in my opinion, which is fine. No problem with that. The funny parts are fantastic. They just hit the nail on the head, subversion of expectation to the next level, and it's great. It keeps you guessing. Like, I think all of us had at least 2 or 3 moments where the movie went in a direction that we weren't expecting, and that's kind of what I want out of a movie, especially when you're going in blind. You don't want it to be too predictable, and this movie was that for us. You know, even at the very end, Ryan was convinced there would be a fake out at the end. There wasn't. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that we all had moments where we were wrong, and that's great.
So, Oliver, we're up to the point now in which we have to kind of guess the year this movie came out. So, we have to take a stab at what year this movie came out. Oliver and myself don't know the year. Bartek does. What year did you think, Oliver?
So, honestly, I was thinking, at first, like, I'll just go into it.
Yeah,
I
do it.
was originally thinking, based on some of the video quality, based on some of the setting, I originally thought it might have been late 90s, early 2000s. But then there was one moment in the film, and I think you know the moment I'm talking about, where it was very, very clear that it couldn't have been before a certain time period, because our baseball friend, he was sitting on the ground, and for much of the film, he's playing with a PSP.
Yeah.
Now, I myself had this console. It came out in 2005.
How much did it cost?
A lot. I can't even remember the exact amount, but it was enough.
He's so rich, he doesn't even remember.
I mean, can you remember the cost of everything you've bought for the last 15 years?
I'm poor, so yes.
All right, fair point. Anyway,
My dignity, $12.
so my thought is that it's probably not too close to the turn of the century. So my window was between 2005 and 2007. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and just say 2005. Because I can, given what I learned about the film. It would have been a lot earlier if he hadn't been playing with that. But I'm going with 2005.
Now, I'm completely on a different wavelength to him. I thought this was the turn of the century, so 1910. No.
That's a bit far from the turn of the century.
I know. I thought that this movie came out in a similar timeline to what Oliver actually said. It's like mid-2000s. I'm going to say 2006.
You were going to be that guy on fucking, what is it, Jeopardy, that guesses $1 above the other person. Like, the other person guesses
Fine!
like 18,000.
It was made in 2018! There you go. Bartek, what did you think before knowing the answer?
Yeah, my thought process was almost identical to Oliver's. There are a few other things of, like, you know, the video quality being a bit clear, the flip phones.
Yeah, the flip phones were a big thing.
Yeah. I was thinking similar to, I was thinking, okay, he said 2005 is when they came out. In my head, I was thinking, wasn't it 2006? Oh, whatever, whatever.
Definitely was 2005.
So I was settling on that idea of it's either one of those years, but also, like Ryan, I was thinking 2006.
There you go. So what is it?
2007.
Fuck! We are coming to the end of the episode, and something very scary is about to happen, Oliver.
I completely forgot
We
about
didn't
this.
prep him for this.
You're going to
so
talk about my little fingers again?
No, this is the thing we do at the end of every
Hold on.
episode.
We can't end this episode because someone or something is stopping us from leaving the room and ending the episode. We must join as a team to defeat this individual, but we can't do it just on our own.
They have a weakness.
They have a weakness against
You have
4 people, but we only have 3. We need a character or a thing from the movie that we had just watched to
be
defeat.
the 4th person.
What are we versing, though?
I don't know. When I came up with this idea, there wasn't a...
I know what it is.
What is it, Ryan?
We're not versing a person, we're versing a force of nature.
I have no...
Literally across the road right now, our house is on fire. And it is coming way, way close.
Wow, I'm surprised you noticed that.
It's coming really, really close to us.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything.
We
but...
need to choose someone or something from the movie to help us defeat it. Who would you advocate as someone who could help us defeat a literal inferno?
Yeah, who's the most reliable character from the movie?
It can be an animal, it could be a person, it could be something that we talked about in the episode relating to the movie.
So anything at all to help us defeat
Yeah, who would you
a
advocate?
towering inferno.
Yeah.
Basically.
Hurry up, because I'm smelling smoke. This time.
It's a bit hot.
Whew,
Did
It's
you
a
say
bit hot.
anything we talked about?
relating to the movie.
Okay.
Whew, it's getting a bit hot in here, Oliver. Better hurry up with the advocation there. I know it's a hard choice. It's like Sophie's. Whew. Whew.
I think the main character. I think Chris.
Chrissy boy.
Yeah.
What about you, Barteki boy? Whew, whew.
Well, it's a fire, and if I know fire, I know that we need something fireproof. So I think maybe Macon can help us.
Ah.
Whew, good choice there.
What do you think, Ryan?
I was literally thinking Sir Lancelot the cat.
Oh yeah,
The cat would leave you to
he's
burn,
pretty
buddy.
clean.
Yeah, but I think Bartek's got it. I think the
Not
guy,
the fire extinguishers.
the
No,
literally
no.
the one who caught fire and survived.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen now, Oliver, is we're going to attack the fire using our individual moves and powers.
What?
Or you could choose a retreat. It's okay, Oliver.
Think of it like an RPG battle. You get the only options.
We're Pokemon trainers versing a fire.
Okay.
So I'll go first.
Right.
I am going to utilize my special ability in this episode,
Yeah.
which is my severe bloodlust. My bloodlust that is so surprising to Bartek
No. I'll explain why. Yeah.
that I throw literal blood at the fire, but it only makes the fire gooier.
'Cause
So,
it's red.
In fact, I've kind of damaged our reputation and our ability to fight. Bartek?
See, when you were talking there and you said bloodlust, I thought you were going to say another word which was going to relate to my thing.
Which is?
I've been charging up my tactic this whole episode.
In fact, he did it like before.
Yeah, in fact, ignore the part where I said, "Oh, I forgot we do this." That was me acting. I've been sitting this whole time, guys.
Sitting?
Oh.
I haven't had the chance to go to the toilet.
Oh.
And now that I'm up and about, I can finally take this opportunity to pee.
Wait, that's my character's ability.
Oh, did I steal your thing?
Yeah, you picked Macon. I picked the main character.
But we picked Macon in the end.
Can you take your hand off my thigh, please?
We picked Macon in the end.
No, we all decided on Macon to be our fourth person.
Right.
So, sorry, Chris isn't able to pee on the fire, but Bartek's peeing right now. Bartek is a really long peer. By the time he finishes the pee, the episode will be over.
Wow, okay.
So he'll be peeing the whole entire time. So, Oliver...
I'm debuffing it, but I'm not
He's
taking
sprinkling on the fire. He's doing a bit of a tinkle.
Yep.
But what are you going to do to help us challenge this fire?
See, the thing is, while you guys are challenging the fire, while you guys are dealing with the fire, I've already escaped and left. That's my
Typical.
character.
it out. So between fight, item, change, or run, you
Run.
picked run.
Yeah.
Wow, and that's so ironic because the fire is on the other side of the house, and he's just run into flames, and he's trying to and Oliver's trying to bat them with his little fingers.
Oh
but
my
guess what? Guess what? All of his little fingers are on fire, and now he's down 70% health.
But also, the wind god was noticing how fast he ran. He's like, I'm going to create a gust with that, wind
So now
left.
the fire is on the roof of the house.
Hey, you guys are forgetting that the main character of the movie has plot armor.
Yeah, but you don't.
We
man.
didn't pick him, though.
So Macon's the one up next.
What's he
He's
gonna
seeing
do?
Bartek peeing. He's seeing Oliver on fire. He's seeing me perfectly fine.
Well, no, you're throwing blood. So.
I threw blood.
Wait,
it just made
so,
things gooier.
Hang on, did I know which direction the fire was in before I made my move?
No, it did. You did, but you ran.
Why
you
did
ran,
I run towards it?
No, you ran in behind the house, but little did you know there was a fire there too.
So there's fire everywhere.
No, not on the sides of the house.
Oh my god.
So what, fire everywhere except where we are?
No, it was. There's a
Encroaching.
fire at the front of the house, then there was one at the back, and then the gust of wind made it on the roof.
Okay, if I
But
didn't know
on the
any
left
better-
and right of the house, we're fine.
If I didn't know any better, you're trying to make me burn to death.
So your little fingers are going, "Eee!" and
let the
Macon
fingers
sees
go.
the peeing, and he sees me with blood and being like, "Good job, Ryan. You made it gooey though." And he takes the bold move of running into the fire and stop, dropping, and rolling the fire out. All of it, because he can survive fires.
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
It takes like 4 hours, but he doesn't.
That's a long turn.
Oliver, it was great to have you on. Bartek, we watched a movie! High five! Oh, you gotta just give me a hand in a sleeve as a high five. Give me a proper high five. We watched a movie, Bartek. This is what it's like. Yes! We haven't watched a movie since Mr. Bones, and that was in like the second episode. Third. So we finally watched a movie, and you guys got to hear us talk about a movie finally after all of this time. What a beautiful time to be alive. But if you guys feel generous or want to be cool like the cool kids, and you have normal sized fingers, how about you give us a review and a rating on iTunes? Maybe spread us around to all your friends. I mean, we're on the social medias. We've got a Facebook page. We've got a Twitter. I mean, heck, we're on Spotify now. You want to listen to us on Spotify? Hey, we're on Google Play, Stitcher, all of those. Oh boy! So you can find us, Spit and Polish Presents, and spread the joy, spread the mystery of the box. Till next time, do remember to be kind to each other and your little fingers.
My fingers aren't that small.